Hi, my friends. Welcome to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, your host, and also an indie author. I'm thrilled you're joining me today for another fun interview with a passionate author. We're going to kick off this show with an exciting reading, so let's get started.
So you guys, my name is Marcus Williams. I'm the author of a book called A Marketer's Diary. I made the book to help out those ladies and gentlemen like myself who were not familiar with marketing whatsoever, just jumped in the field and ran with it. And I wrote the book also because I understand in the field of marketing that there are times when you're going to feel like you're on an island. It's crazy out there some days, but you always have to have like a focal point and a focused plan. And one of my favorite chapters is Confidence 101. It's something that helped me out in the early stages of my career. And I definitely would love to explain that portion of it for you guys. Confidence 101. So in my marketing career, one training I enjoyed teaching the most was something I like to call Confidence 101. During this training session, I would teach marketers how to pursue marketing from a statistical view instead of the more personal or guessing approach. In this training, the first thing I made very clear was that this game was all about the numbers and how you dissect those numbers. For example, if you talk to 100 people in a day, how many people can you get to agree with you and invest in your service or idea? Put that number over 100, and that is your percentage. And I can promise you almost every time that it's going to be way less than 100, which means marketing is a game of failing. With this in mind, you must become completely comfortable with learning about ratios and how they play out in your favor to invest in your own success. Learning your ratio is very essential because it gives you a roadmap to your day. So you may know how to strategize your day or how to attack the day. Let's say if you talk to 100 people a day and you normally get in between 4 to 10 people to buy into your services or ideas, then you now can break down how long you plan on reaching that goal. If you are a person who burns out quicker than most others, you may pace yourself at one potential customer per hour to help you keep a consistent and steady pace. In my Confidence 101 training, I always train marketers to never fall in love with the results, but get more in tune with the efforts that you put in. As a marketer, once you begin to fall in love with instant success, you begin to lose focus of the efforts and the grind and begin to expect the same success daily, when in reality, that will not happen. Every day will yield different results, and the best way to prepare for those days is by being consistent and steadily focused. One very important lesson I believe I trained often is that you must keep constants and variables in your game. What I mean by that is that in your marketing approach, you must have a method that you do not change or alter. This is important because this gives other marketers a criterion to help evaluate you because repetition is the mother of learning. The variables are the results you create with your marketing approach. And as a marketer, you must never cut corners in your game as well. Cutting corners is one of the deadliest ways to effectively reduce your chances of seeing success in this game. Never take the easy approach, because when you try to play the game in an unfavorable way, this will always come back to hurt you somewhere down the line. Be mindful that you only get a certain amount of time in a day to be a marketer as well. No person is ideally going to be marketing for extended amounts of time. So the best way to be the best marketer is to limit yourself to a time limit so you know how to work.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Minds of Authors. Today I have, and I say this every time, but I can't help it, it's such a special treat. I have Mr. Marcus with us. Hello, darling, how are you?
I can't complain, Mrs. Gomez. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, you have to call me DC. You keep calling me Ms. Gomez, and I'm looking around. It's like, I think my mom joined us. What's up with that? So DC, and we're going to go from there. Awesome. Welcome to the show. How are you feeling today?
I can't complain, DC. It's pretty cool, man. As an author, I never expected I would be talking on podcasts. So definitely cool.
Isn't it exciting?
Yeah, definitely caught me by surprise, 100%.
We're completely merging venues, and it's still storytelling. We're still telling a story. You're just bringing it to life, and people want to hear the journey. They want to hear what you got. And I'm really curious at the fact that you are literally a marketer.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So before we jump into the book, let's talk a little bit about this master plan for world domination. Because you have a leg up on all of us little indie authors who's trying to figure it out. What do we do with our books? Like you went the other way. You have the background. Where did that come about? Tell me. What made you decide to be a marketer?
Absolutely. So DC, I graduated from Coppin State University, West Baltimore, where I'm from. I graduated 2016. And when I graduated, I always had this game plan in college that if I had great grades, I'll get the job of a lifetime. Whatever it may be, I'll get it. That surely went left field very quick because I didn't have much experience in life. What ended up happening was I applied to many jobs and a lot of great offers I had. Shout out to all of those companies that gave me great offers. Reynolds and Reynolds, DMG Securities. But at the time, I just wasn't ready as a young man. So I came across a marketing job with a home improvement company, Power Home Remodeling. It definitely took me left field because I had no idea about marketing. I've never done it, never ventured into it, never even thought about it. Never literally took one class in marketing in college.
What was your degree in college?
Political science.
Oh, wow. This is
Yeah,
definitely,
left field.
yes. Okay. To some extent, if you think about it, you're still telling stories. Just probably not the same kind you thought you were going to be telling.
Not at all, Ms. DC, not at all. When I took the job, they sold me on the great opportunities of which Power has. And been with Power for 4.5 years, and they have great opportunities. When I jumped in the field, I was like, whoa, so this is what I'm doing. Okay, okay. As a student, I was very analytical. So I studied a lot, I read a lot. Typically, my day in college, I spent about 2 or 3 hours a day in the library. Once I got in with Power, I pretty much did the same thing. I came an hour early every day and I practiced. I practiced whatever it took, the scripts, the information about the products we offer, you name it, the type of people I'll be talking to. Eventually, I got decent enough to the point where I started helping train other people. And I noticed that it went from like one person coming a day with me in the morning. And then maybe months down the line, I'm looking at a room full of people like a professor and students. And I'm like, whoa, whoa. Funny how time changes that. And somebody made a joke one day with me, DC, and said, hey, somebody should write a book about this. And I took that joke seriously. And voila.
That is nothing wrong when somebody actually points out that you have skills and abilities and you should put it into writing. That's a huge compliment. Whether you think it was joking or not, there was a hint of truth in that statement.
Yes, ma'am. So when they said it, in my mind, I figured in life, you always need to do something for yourself. I'm not very much business minded. I'm not like the person to like try to like, hey, you should own a business. Hey, you should, pursue this. I'm more of a person, you should find your niche and run with it. Whether it be if you like coaching, if you like business, if you like whatever it may be. And for me, when the person said it, I sat back and I was like, well, what does it take to be an author? How do you go about this path? And I kind of like read about that a little bit too. So I kind of like studied it, see the different avenues you can take as an author. And I'm still learning to this day. I'm still learning about a lot of things about reviews, how to market. It's a fun journey to say nonetheless. It was something I also had to learn as well. And I'm very grateful I jumped into that playing field.
So you have multiple platforms. Usually, when we're thinking as an author, you're looking at multiple streams of revenue. How do I go about making an income? You're very, very blessed that not only do you have a career in marketing, I like how you said I'm learning how to market. It's a little different to market a book than market a product, but not really.
Yeah.
Like your principle's still the same. Your target audience is a little different, like how you approach them. But you do have several things in there. You mentioned you were teaching people, you're coaching people. You have a book that you can take anywhere and use it as a platform to teach. Was that something you had thought about it?
No, ma'am. So I genuinely wrote the book thinking from a college standpoint. College, we all had textbooks. I mean, granted, if you use them or not is a different story, but we all had textbooks. Me personally, granted, I was very studious in college. I really didn't like reading a lot, but I liked reading when it was very informative. Like I can take it right here, right now, and just use it. And I was like, imagine if I wrote a short book like that, like something straight to the point. If you don't know anything about it, you can read it and just get a little understanding. And that's pretty much how I went with it. I wanted it to reach college students because I know I can't be at every single college every single day. So I figured if I could help at least one or two students somewhere down the line, even if it's a person post-college. And that was my goal. But then one day somebody mentioned to me as well, like a few people that wrote nonfiction slash self-help books, they venture into becoming like a consultant. So it was something that was presented to me. I never really thought about pursuing it, but I'm open to the idea of it.
Have you considered transitioning to fiction? Because, I'm a fiction writer, so I have to ask these questions. Have you ever thought about it?
Absolutely, I have. I've definitely considered my goal, and I talk about it a lot. One of my close friends, Bree, also my girlfriend, I also talk to her a lot about it. I would like to write another nonfiction book, specifically catered a little bit more to younger adults. I grew up inner city Baltimore, and it's a lot of things that I experienced that I think a lot of other kids don't see. I was blessed that, I had a lot of people that gave me different ideas. I learned a lot of different knowledge from different people from all walks of life, very successful, very misfortunate, but I took those notes and I would love to like really put that in a book to help someone else out. Like, hey, look, I've been in the same exact scenario you're in. You should probably consider this, but these are your options though. And write like one book like that. And then I would probably more or less go into fiction because I kind of like the idea of storytelling, but me personally, I would like to create a name for myself first, where people like more or less, oh, okay, I've read some of his work before. He's okay.
Nothing wrong with that. A lot of nonfiction writers have done a little bit of the crossover, and some of them have changed pen names altogether. So they might say, I don't want my nonfiction audience to get confused with my fiction. So something to consider. So you don't have to close those doors, which is exciting. So
Hmm.
let's talk about the book now. How long
Yes,
did
ma'am.
it take you to write it?
Wow, I can answer that many different ways. One of the managers at my job forever says this. When you think about doctors and lawyers always practicing your field, a doctor and a lawyer is always practicing, always practicing. So in marketing, it's very much very similar. For me, the book itself, I believe it took a year and a half because I outlined it. I worked with Page Publishing and sent my manuscript. We did the editing, we came up with ideas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I guess essentially to get the knowledge for the book, at the time, it took me 2.5, 3 years, give or take. But to write it itself, about a full year. Because I would come in an hour early every day for work, and I would just look at my notes and figure out how to write it, like just how to format it into a way where it's not just my notes anymore. Someone else reading this can understand what I'm saying.
How to translate it from your mind into the page for somebody that is starting in this field can say, oh, that's exactly what I need to do.
Absolutely. One funny thing about that as well, DC. So when I first started writing the book, a lot of publishers that I was talking to, they were saying they had like a word minimum. And back in college, it was very similar. When you turn in this assignment or you turn in this, response, I would like 5 pages. I graduated high school from a trade school, so writing was not my strong suit. So when I got in, a lot of different publishers, they were like, hey, look, we would like you to have, 25,000 words. And I was like, okay, how much is that in pages, And a lot of people were like, we don't want to tell you, but 25,000. I was like, okay. Then I finally looked at it and I was like, whoa, I'm nowhere near this. So let me not talk to these guys or these girls. And I worked out with Page Publishing and they were like, yeah, no, we like your work. Don't worry about the word count. We like your work. I was like, okay. So that was also a segment of my writing as well.
We do work in words instead of pages. That was probably my first lesson when I started writing because I was like, well, how many pages is a novel? And every single place would give you different answers. Like it's roughly, 50 to 70,000 words. And I had the same questions like, how many pages is that? And they're like, nobody really cares. Depending on the size of the book, it will vary. For your lesson, by the way. So yes, I'm with you. I had the same question.
Yes, ma'am. It definitely caught me by surprise. I know next time around what to look for and how to work about it. Yes, ma'am.
But you do have a publisher who's a little bit more understanding and is more focused on the material than so much what's the limit. So that's exciting.
Yes, ma'am.
In this marketing field, will you consider doing another book for people? Will that be something you'd be interested in? Or do you think this is enough in this topic? Let's move to something else.
I would say this would be it as far as on the, I guess, more or less nonfiction side of things, more or less where I'm just giving you information from what I've learned. I don't think I've absolutely put everything in the book that I've learned through marketing, but a lot of things that I've learned came through in the heat of the moment experience. Certain experiences, to say the least, I can't coach you through. It's more or less like a life thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't come to someone and be like, hey, look, you're 6'9", you should be a great basketball player. When in your heart, you like volleyball, which is also very great for you at that height. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations. So for marketing, I believe as far as nonfiction goes, I'll be done on this side with it as far as the books. Now, I could definitely write a marketing book about different stories from what I've had, from different people I've seen, because there are a lot of crazy stories that you run into, DC. Some of the things that I've seen from my coworkers are amazing, and some of those things were horrible. The best way I can think of is like Amazon workers and UPS workers, because a lot of my marketing background comes usually from door to door. But I've definitely worked in retail, I've worked in events, but I come from a more of a door to door perspective. So a lot of different people you meet, a lot of different crazy scenarios, a lot of different collectibles you see. And those stories are interesting as well. But that would probably be a side that I would dip into more or less if I were to write another book about marketing.
You can take that and actually turn it almost into a fiction documentary kind of per se, because you must protect the identity of the innocent or the guilty. Let's be honest. Let's not put it all people's business out there. So that could be a semi-fiction, semi-true life story based on true events and have a nice little action comedy going on in your life. So think about it. That could be kind of fun.
Yes, man. Definitely.
So tell us, Marcus, and we're going to go both in your marketing career as well as your authors. What is one lesson you have learned?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. This question alone, DC, we could have a whole podcast about itself. But one of the biggest lessons I learned, I'll start with as an author. One of the biggest lessons I learned was that you need reviews. You learn from your mistakes, right? And one of the hardest lessons I learned was I needed reviews. So when I jumped into the game, I literally just started advertising. Like the moment my book was done, I was like, hey, look, new author, Marcus Williams, I got a book. Let's talk. You know, some people like, I'm curious to hear about it. And then others, okay, that's good for you. You know, once I started reading a lot more, started watching different videos, started learning, I was like, whoa, every single piece of advice I just picked up from all these platforms all mentioned reviews. And I'm not even paying attention to this. I started reaching out for different reviews from bookstagrammers, people who actually purchased my book. I like, hey, tell me what you think. Leave it on Amazon if you can. Just different onlinebookclub.com. I got 4 out of 4 from them. So I was grateful for that. You name it. Like now I hunt reviews. To me, I think of it like trading cards now. Like, look, if I can show you this work, just tell me what you think. That's all I can ask for. To answer the second part of that, one of the biggest lessons I learned in marketing is that you have to be patient. So I think of marketing like basketball. I'm huge into basketball. One player that comes to mind when I think of marketing a lot is Carmelo Anthony. So a lot of people, you know, idolize his game. And he's a great athlete, great basketball athlete. But I believe one time he quoted, I can't remember if it was him exactly, but I remember the reference around him. You miss every shot you don't take. And in marketing, it's very much similar. You just gotta keep pounding. You just gotta keep going. And some days you're gonna talk to 5 people, and all 5 people will be like, you know what? I like you as a person, sir or ma'am, and I like what you're offering. Let's go. And then there's some days you'll talk to 100 people, and 99 of them will say no, just outright no. Like, look, sorry about that. It's not for us. God bless you. And like the littlest things when you get rejected, like the littlest comments that you don't even think twice in a day about hit you twice as hard when you're getting rejected. Oh, we're not interested, but you know, you have a good day. You'll take that as a smart remark. So one lesson I had to learn very quick is that you got to kind of like just black everything out and just do the best you can.
So your advice is amazing because it applies to authors as well. Because we're going to get rejection letters. You're going to get rejection letters from publishers. You're going to get bad reviews. You're going to get every single person is not going to love the book. So I love the fact that you said, you know, a game of failing. That was beautiful. And just being patient with it. We want instant success. It's immediate gratification. And neither one of these careers that you picked has that.
Absolutely not.
How do you train yourself to be patient?
Oh, very easy, very easy. So for me, DC, you know, one thing about me growing up in inner city, I credit that to a lot of my successes in life. Growing up in inner city, it's tough. People aren't as friendly. You get all types of things. But for me, what I did a lot in the prime of my career, like at the peak, I was analytical. So I just looked at everything from a number standpoint. And I was like, well, look, in my job, if I talk to 100 people, right, and every different marketing job, you have your own different bonuses, you have your own different objectives, you have your own different promotions. So people are gunning for different things. People, I want to go to management, so I need these numbers. I would like to, travel the world, so I like these numbers, etc. And for me, I was more or less like, look, I don't want to be the Kobe Bryant or the Michael Jordan of marketing. I would like to be Marcus, somebody that I can do the job at this level. And eventually, when I find something I love, maybe I'll venture into another career field. But for now, these numbers make sense to me. For my job, I would just want to get 4 people a day to just agree with me. If I talk to 100 people, that means I'm looking for a 4% ratio. In college, getting a 60% out of 100 is passing, but that's like, you just made it, brother. And I'm like, well, imagine if I'm telling myself I can do 4% and I'll be successful. I think I can do that. And it builds a confidence that you just, when you look at it from that standpoint, like if you just go out blindly into marketing, it will humble you very fast. I never believed it at first when I first started. Like people were training me like, have goals, have numbers. Like, okay, I talked to 100 people. I want 70 to sign up. And then reality sets in. So for me, it was just the numbers and I studied them. And I was like, well, if I can just get 4 people to agree with me, and out of those 4 people, if I can get 25%, so just 1 out of 4 people to just be like, hey, look, this is a great idea. This is a great product. This is a great service. I would like to buy it. I would do so great for my career. And then that's literally all it took for me. I didn't really need to see anything else because with that, everything else came.
You have mentioned something that is powerful that any listener, whatever career field you are, is you have very realistic expectations. You're not saying I need 70 people to agree with me. When we thinking about starting a new career, we always want to think big. We're going to get out of college and be the CEO. But think about what you have done. You know what I mean? You set expectations for yourself that, yes, as a numbers person, it might seem very low, but they were real and they were very manageable. So it didn't matter how many no's you were getting when you knew you were getting yeses. So that is powerful.
Yes, man. I got humbled very quick, DC. Like it's great. Like even with the author side of the business, I was humbled very quick. I was like, I have such a great product because with my book, I took a year pretty much to like get it all together. And I was like, I know for a fact if I can just get this in front of somebody, it's just great. I don't care who. But once that started happening, I started seeing it like go backwards. And I was like, whoa, like, why? And then they're like, maybe you don't have reviews. And I was like, okay. So I started getting that. And I noticed how many people actually enjoy what I wrote. It's just now that I have to build that as I'm building a fan base. I was learning through that as well.
I like the fact that it's a very good career as long as you're willing to work for it because it's just not going to come to you.
Not at all.
Where can our listeners find you? Where can we find the book? Where is the easiest way to connect with Mr. Mark?
Absolutely. So if you're looking to purchase my book, it's easily found on Amazon. I would just search A Marketer's Diary straight through Amazon. I believe I'm on every single different form of Amazon as well, except Saudi Arabia. I think that's the one place I'm not available as far as Amazon. But I'm also available on Barnes and Nobles. If you're looking to follow me through social media on Instagram, my name is literally how it sounds, author Marcus Williams. I also have a Facebook page as well. I believe same thing, author Marcus Williams. If you have Apple, you can find me on iTunes. And if you're Android, you can find me on Google Play, I believe.
Awesome. You can connect. People can find you if they have any questions about this insane marketing journey they all want to take. You are definitely the person to contact. So this is exciting for them.
Yes, man. That was the game plan. I was like, oh, well, if I'm going to be available everywhere through the book, might as well be available everywhere through social media if I can.
We're now moving into a world that author is not just writing the book, it's also connecting with your tribe and being able to build that. So, what advice would you give an up and coming author?
I guess one of the best or even more critical like pieces of ideas that I can give any young author is that outside of getting reviews, when you write your story, try to find your niche as soon as heavenly possible. Kind of like marketing, you're just running out there with no game plan, and you're going to see a lot more rejection than you could probably ever imagine. But once you write the book, have a game plan, have an idea, and know your target audience. Because in today's world, especially with everyone being so available, for example, in today's world, we sell more ebooks than we sell paperback or hardcover. So a person could literally find you probably a lot faster than you can get to them. And short and sweet, if you have like a blurb or if you have like a cover story or anything, they can read it really quick and just say, oh no, not interested. And then that can hurt sometimes. So definitely find your niche as soon as possible. And if you can, get as many reviews as possible. So that way, when you move forward, it will help explain you better than you can explain yourself.
That is
Yeah.
a beautiful piece of advice for anybody, regardless of whether you're starting out or not. If you hadn't considered going niche, this is a beautiful reason to do it. So, Mr. Marcus, it has been such a pleasure to have you. We're going to switch gears. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
We're going to go to our lightning round. So,
Okay.
that look of fear in your face, you're like, oh God, what am I doing here? Easy peasy. Don't think too hard on these questions. We're going to have some fun and move very quickly. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
First thing that comes into your mind, let's see how you do. Sodas or juices?
Oh, juice. 100%.
Okay, nice. Gummy bear or Sour Patch?
I'm going to say Sour Patch.
You have to think about it.
Yeah, no. If it's a gummy Sour Bear, then gummy Sour Bear, but Sour Patch.
Comedy or action films?
Ooh. That's tough.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a notch action only because action is a little bit closer to Harry Potter, and I could watch Harry Potter all day. Granted,
Okay,
action.
I'll give you that. Maybe a little. Fair enough. So, here's a little different one. Let's see what you think.
Okay.
If your life was turned into a movie, who would you pick to play you?
I'll probably answer this a little bit different than more authors you've probably asked, but if I could have any person, I guess the technical answer would be Tom Hanks, but I wouldn't want Tom Hanks. I would want Forrest Gump.
Okay, why? That is deep. Do tell.
So Forrest Gump, before I ever got into the Harry Potter wave, Forrest Gump was my movie, man. I'm the type of person, I never really cried on a movie, but Forrest Gump was one of the first movies I ever saw where I teared up. I was like, bruh, that is one of the hardest working men I've ever seen in my life, bro. I like him as a person, man. Especially his whole movie. The whole movie was pretty much just told from a park bench. Like that is just the life itself, man. I gotta respect that, man.
I've never heard it put that way, but I so appreciate it. I never thought of Forrest Gump being the hardest working person ever.
I've never seen anything like that. Never. I respect him. World class ping pong champion.
I never thought about it. Okay. Thank you. You have changed my perspective on Forrest Gump. I like it. We're coming to the end of the program. It has been truly so much fun. You have all this energy. You want to help people. You have incredible passion, which I so appreciate. You have to have passion to come into the show, by the way. That's kind of a requirement. You have to have some passion.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I'd never expected me to do podcasts ever, but it's a great opportunity and it's a beautiful thing. And I appreciate you for having me.
It has been a pleasure. So I was going to ask you if you had any closing remarks, but I think you just gave them to us. Anything you want to tell our listeners?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So a few things I would like to say, you guys, for any person that's definitely interested in the marketing / sales / business career fields, like I said, it's very lucrative. It's a beautiful thing. You get great travel opportunities. You get to meet amazing people. You get to hear stories. Sometimes in life, you think you're going through something very crazy. And then the person next to you, you just hear their story and you like, wow, I'm blessed, And that's the field that it is. But it's one of those jobs where, like anything else, it takes time and you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. There's going to be moments where they test you. And there's going to be moments where, you're on top of the world. But with my book, I can't explain all of that, but I can definitely tell you a little bit and some of the knowledge of things that I've learned to help you propel into those hopefully great roller coaster moments, never the other side. So yeah, I write the book from a helping standpoint, and I would just love to hear feedback about that as well. If any listener ever purchases my book.
Oh, that is awesome. To our listeners, go ahead. Go find Marcus, follow him, give him some review, get the book, share it with a friend. And for everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us. It's been another amazing week, another amazing, passionate author. Join us again next week for another exciting episode. And guys, have an amazing day. Bye.